great session. For everyone who is connected, we're going to talk today about how can we create like innovation ecosystems for successful smart regions. So today with the speakers, and I'm going to present them soon, I would love to talk about the strategies they are applying in their regions to foster an inclusive smart innovation ecosystem. And today it's going to be really exciting because we have representatives from the public sector, from a university, and from an NGO. And so welcome everyone, especially our speakers. I'm going to present them before they present themselves. So today we have Luz Maria de Lafont from Ruta, Medellin. I actually worked there for a while, 4 years. And I'm super happy to have you on board, Luz Maria. She's going to talk today on how they're focusing now more and more on creating like that smart valley. So Medellin is located in a valley where there are like approximately 10 cities. And Medellin as a city is taking a leading role. So we're gonna get to know how Medellin is doing that and how Medellin is kind of like incentivizing also other cities in the region to actually jump on that smart region movement. And then so that's Luz Maria. Okay, so I'm gonna tell you to present yourself in a second. And then we're gonna have also Victor Larios from Guadalajara on board. He's from the university actually. So Ruta is a public institution from the municipality. It's the innovation center of the city. And Victor is from the university, and he is a professor researcher at the Smart City Innovation Center from the university. So he's going to tell us also how they are convening and how they're creating that innovation ecosystem in the Jalisco area in Mexico. And we have also on board Brian Dean, who is the executive director from the Institute for Digital Progress Phoenix, and he's going to tell us a little bit about an initiative which is already existing around since 5 years approximately, which is called the Greater Phoenix Connective. So before we're going to start with the presentations, I would love to maybe you can like shortly present you and just saying like what you're doing, and then also like tell us if I would visit you, Brian, Luzma in Medellin, Victor in Guadalajara, and Brian in Phoenix, what would be your favorite meal? You know, like where would you bring me? Like what would you offer me in that smart region? What like to eat? It has nothing to do with smart cities, but I think it would be great like to get to know you like that. So Brian, let's start with you.
Yeah, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. As mentioned, my name is Brian Dean, and I am the executive director for a local nonprofit here in the Phoenix area called the Institute for Digital Progress, as well as the program manager for our Greater Phoenix Smart Region Consortium group, which is called the Connective. So extremely excited to be here today and tell you our little story. But before we get into that, if you guys came and visited us, normally, you know, Arizona is known for its good Mexican food, but I probably can't compete with the other panelists here today with that. So I'd probably have to say, you know, maybe we'd go get a good steak or something from, Steak 44 or one of the fancy restaurants, just for the heck of it.
Thank you, Brian. Thanks. Bueno, Luzma, let's continue with you.
Okay, hi everybody. It's really, really good to be here. Well, in Colombia, we have a different typical food for every region, but in Medellin, our typical food is called bandeja paisa. It's kind of a digestive bomb, so I think Pao knows about it. I think you might spend a little bit of time in Medellin before you try the full dish. It's a combination of beans, rice, chorizo, which I don't know if you know, it's a kind of sausage, of course, with all the Spanish influence. It also has an egg. It has shredded beef. Some people put like plantain on it, and morcilla, which is blood sausage. So yeah. It's really heavy.
Oh my God. Miss Maria, thank you so much. Yeah, I think some people know it. I knew it. It's a bomb. I agree with that. So yeah, and Victor, you, can you present yourself, please?
Yes, so I work at the University of Guadalajara, which is a public university. I am the director of the Smart Cities Innovation Center. And my favorite meal is the tacos, the Mexican tacos, with a very hot and spicy sauce, and also with a very good cactus salad, which is the cactus that you find. We prepare that with some onion and tomatoes, and it's great.
Delicious, Victor. Thank you. Yeah, so now everyone is like, why am I here? Like, to get to know like different dishes from around the world. But no, we're going to start now. So let's start with Brian. As I told you, it's an NGO, but he's going to explain us more in detail on how he's kind of like fostering cooperation between almost around, I think, 20 cities. And he's focusing on or like leading also like Read Phoenix Connective. So Brian, tell us a little bit on how with that initiative you are fostering an innovation ecosystem in Phoenix.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys. And can I share my screen?
Yes, please. So everyone can share their screen when they present. You can just, no problem. Super.
Okay. Is that good? Can you guys see my screen there?
Perfect.
Excellent. Well, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you again for allowing me to join this incredible panel today. I'm tremendously humbled and grateful for the opportunity to be here and learn from all the incredible work being done across the globe here to help foster and advance innovation and collaboration within our communities. And I'm excited to share with you our little story of how we're building a smart region here in the greater Phoenix area. So as I mentioned, my name is Brian Dean. I am the executive director for a local innovation-driven nonprofit organization called the Institute for Digital Progress, or IDP for short. And IDP was originally created about 5 years ago to act as that trusted partner that could work alongside our local cities and towns to help identify, develop, deploy, test, and ultimately scale smart community solutions to some of the most pressing civic challenges being faced by our communities, both today and in the future. When we launched 5 years ago, we had some initial successes working with individual communities to launch programs like the Phoenix Smart City App Pack, our Public Works Reverse Pitch Competition, Public Entrepreneurship Development Academy, etc. But it just really still felt like we were only gaining inches while other communities around the world were really gaining miles on us. So after those first couple of years, we decided that it was time to really take a step back and take a good hard look at what made our communities unique and identify how we could best optimize those comparative advantages to provide value not only locally, but to the overall global smart cities movement as a whole. And what we realized was that what made our communities in Phoenix unique was really who we were. Maricopa County was the 4th largest and fastest growing county in the United States, made up of the 5th largest and fastest growing city in Phoenix, along with 21 other large to medium-sized communities, all really slammed up next to each other. And additionally, we had the largest and most innovative public research university in Arizona State University, and the largest community college district in Maricopa Community College District in the country as well, along with our established regional planning and economic development organizations like the Greater Phoenix Economic Council, Maricopa Association of Governments, who had really already spent decades building that trust and partnership between our communities. And, as we kind of realized that, we had one of those light bulb moments, right? Where we realized that the ability to collaborate was really our next competitive advantage when it came to creating smart communities of the future. Thus, with that new ideal in mind, we shifted our focus to optimizing this culture of collaboration and establishing the partner network that would enable a new form of regional collaboration to not only come together as a think tank, but to build out the shared operational and governance framework, which enabled action and transformed Greater Phoenix region into a do tank for smart community innovation. So with that, the Connective, our Greater Phoenix Smart Region Consortium group, was officially launched in November of 2019. And at its core, the Connective is a formalized public-private and academic partnership built to drive the creation, advancement, and adoption of smart city technology on a regional scale, overall to improve the quality of life for all citizens and businesses within our community. So you can kind of see the partnership network here of at least the founding partners, So established under the Partnership for Economic Innovation, or PEI, the Connective is made up of an executive leadership team, including representatives from ASU, IDP, which is my organization, GPEC, MAG, as well as some community representatives that were elected by our Community Leadership Council, which you can see there made up of the 22 cities and towns plus the county, so 23 local government organizations in total. And then we, in support, established that what we are calling our Industry Advisory Council, made up of some leading technology providers such as T-Mobile, Dell, our 2 utility providers in SRP, APS, Snowflake, Cox, Maricopa Community Colleges, etc. So all of that comes together is when I say the Connective is that group of partners all brought together. Sorry, moving to the next slide. So once we officially launched in late 2019, we now had all the players at the table, but there was this new challenge of what the heck do we all want to do together, right? With so many partners, you had so many different kind of ideals and objectives that we had to spend the first quarter of 2020 totally focused on alignment. And we engaged in a deep dive kind of facilitated workshop series where our Community Leadership Council co-developed the regional shared vision and mission, which you can see here, along with some of our strategic priorities, which would inform how our region focuses and operates together. And true to our name, the community felt the true value of the Connective was to act as that connective tissue between organizations and sectors to build the connections, collaborative relationships for advanced strategies and connected solutions, which would transform our region by working together towards a safe and sustainable and prosperous region for all. Additionally, as part of that workshop series, we were able to collectively identify and come to a consensus on 6 core strategic priorities for the Connective to add values to our community, which, if achieved, would ultimately create that fully connected and integrated smart region. This included, our initiatives to solve regional challenges or establish the shared process framework, which would enable new innovations to be investigated, tested, and deployed and scaled within our communities, as well as enable regional data collaboration, both internally and externally across municipal boundaries, develop the regional collective procurement initiatives, which cut costs and time out of the technology procurement processes, and engage the community and establish protocols and solutions to bring the voice of the citizen to the forefront of the communities of the future development. Additionally, we provide upskilling and reskilling education programs, which support the needs of the workforce of the future. And finally, to enable the regional infrastructure, which is prepared for the future needs of our communities, such as providing ubiquitous broadband access for educational and workforce programs, 5G deployment, EV and AV advancements, etc. So ultimately, it's kind of easiest to think of these strategic priorities, which you see on the screen here, as our smart region programs, which the Connective is responsible for kind of achieving on behalf of the communities. Going even a little bit deeper, our communities were able to collectively identify 5 regional impact categories to be focused on as part of that solve regional challenges strategic priority, which I mentioned before. These include challenges such as the circular economy and recycling, digital equity and service delivery, public safety and resiliency, transportation and mobility, and overall innovation in government. These impact categories were established to help further focus efforts across our region and inform the entrepreneur and technology solutions providers communities what our cities and towns are looking for help with, and are the 5 categories for which our regional open call for innovations program aims to help improve. So what did we do over this first year that we were established? Well, true to our mission, the Connective has spent the last year creating a network of connections and collaborative relationships to enable innovative action across our region, and establishing opportunities for best practice sharing internally and externally to our communities, including some of the things you can see here, like we joined the City Possible group. We were the first smart region to do so. We were invited to be a mentor community in the 100 Intelligent Cities Challenge being run by the European Commission. Made some collaborative relationships with our Southern Arizona Smart Region community to share resources and engage in shared projects, as well as developing streamlined pathways to deployment through the connected do tank model, which utilizes existing innovation assets such as our Cloud Innovation Center, which is a partnership between AWS and ASU to help drive and actually create smart community solutions, our Cox Collaboratory, the SkySong Innovation Sandbox Network, as well as standing up a regional PMO, or what we call an opportunity project office, to help add resources to our communities to kind of drive those innovative projects forward. Additionally, through our partner network, we were able to add resources to our communities, such as standing up the Emerging Technologies Program through MAG, have a grant capture team through PEI, established intern programs, which actually work for this, ASU students that work for the cities over the summer, help engaging in those research and development initiatives, as well as the Regional Challenges Program supported by one of our utility providers in SRP. And then finally, bringing in the academic sector. How can we engage in that knowledge transfer from campus to community through initiatives with ASU, the Thunderbird School of Global Management, establishing some training programs with Maricopa Community College District, and ultimately engaging with the Institute for Autonomous Mobility, or Automated Mobility, to drive the development and implementation of AV and EV technology in our region.
1 more minute, Brian, just for you.
Yep.
Two more minutes.
Yep. So that's pretty much what I wanted to go over. I had an example here of one of our projects which we're engaging in, which is creating a regional KPI and metrics framework, which pulls together our KPIs here at the top, which you can see: improve quality of life, drive equity, enhance revenue, promote sustainability and resilience, and support economic competitiveness, and develop those regional standards, which can be utilized by our cities to really drive strategies forward. So that's one of our projects we're working on. You can see some of those metrics and indicators here. I know it's a bit of an eye chart. There's about 120 indicators there, but we're starting to work together to get the open data established so that we can create those dashboards across the region. So just as an example of one thing that we're working on, and wrapping up, there's our social and contact information too, for any other information that you guys would like to receive. But thank you again for allowing me to give that presentation.
I'm on mute. It looks amazing, Brian, and I'm pretty overwhelmed about all the parts you're already having in the collective. I would say, and I'm not quite sure if there's possibilities also from the people who are listening to us to make us questions in the live stream. I don't know if maybe can I copy paste them here so I can see them, and then afterwards I would make questions. But for now, and if it's not possible, I have questions prepared. So, so Brian, thank you. Again, it's an NGO which what I understood has been created by different kind of actors, right, from the private public sector. And now we're gonna go to Luz Maria, I would say, as I said in the beginning, she is representing today Ruta, which is the Public Innovation Center from the city of Medellin. So it's completely public, and they have been doing amazing work since already, I would say, 11 years, right? Convening the innovation ecosystem, co-creating it in a way. Co-creation is really important for Ruta. So, Luz Maria, I'm going to give the word to you. So you tell us a little bit more about how you're creating a smart region or smart valley.
Thank you, Pao. In advance, I'd like to say I have my 1-year-old daughter here, so you might hear a little bit of little sounds, but that's good. That's background music. So I'm going to share my screen right now. Okay, so I already introduced myself. I told you I was working with Ruta for the past 3 years. And right now I'm working at a really important project Pao knows about. We inherited it from her. We're actually updating our science, technology, and innovation public policy. So it's really good, and it involves a lot of collaboration and co-creation with different actors and stakeholders. So first of all, I'd like to tell you where Medellin is located. So on the map of your left, you can see the Americas, and Colombia is right in the middle. And the map of the center, you can see Antioquia, the region that's highlighted. It's like our state. And Medellin is the capital city of that state. And you can see it on the map of your of your right. I have a problem with right, left. So the map of your right, and you can see Medellin and the metropolitan area. Medellin is a city of 2.5 million people, and with the metropolitan area, which has 10 municipalities, we have approximately 3.5 million. Sorry to say, but we have the perfect weather. It's kind of spring all the time, 75.2 Fahrenheit degrees as the average temperature. So it's really, really cool. But what else about Medellin? We have several challenges. Medellin doesn't have any ports. Medellin doesn't have any natural resources. We don't have any railways or super highways. We're not the capital city of the country. We're the second city. And once, as you all know, but don't believe everything you watch on Netflix, but we were the world's most violent city. So we've overcome that history. We also have several other problems or challenges, such as inequality. You can see it clearly in the picture I'm showing you right now. At your right, you can see more organized urban development, big and tall buildings, and more public space. And at your left, you can see a more disorganized urban development. I'm going to show you a little bit of how that was throughout the history. So this was Medellin in 1921, a very small village. This was Medellin 7 years later. And this was Medellin in 1963. It's a huge change with a lot of urban disorder. This is Medellin. This was Medellin in 2011. It's the last picture we have of this kind. As you can see, it's a very narrow valley surrounded by very, very high mountains. And for a lot of problems, basically violence in our country, a lot of people migrated, and we had a very disorganized urban development. But also Medellin, so that those geographical challenges also gave us a little bit of trouble to export and to expand economically. So if you take a container from Medellin to Cartagena, which are 600 kilometers, it's going to cost you $1,300. But if you take the same container from Cartagena to Miami, which is almost 3 times the same distance, it's going to cost you a little bit less, just $1,100. So that gives you a little bit of examples of the challenges we have in terms of infrastructure and like geographic isolation. However, this is also Medellin. We have a very, very strong feeling of belonging to the city. Being a paisa is really important for us. We have a very, very fluent conversation among the actors of the quadruple helix. So that is also aligned with what Brian just told us. Collaboration is also key for us, and it's been there for forever. We have a generalized entrepreneurship spirit. So it's really, really easy to find in Medellin young people wanting to be entrepreneurs and self-employers. But you can see that not only in the citizens, but also in the municipal government. The municipal government owns several companies, and it really has like almost like a private sector mindset. An example of that is our public utility company, which is called EPM. It's a big multi-Latin, and EPM invests part of its annual revenue in the city. It reinvests in social issues and to solve infrastructural challenges, social challenges, and hold on, just give me 1 second. Social challenges, infrastructural challenges, public space challenges. So having that mindset has helped a lot the city in terms of development. And we also are famous for our institutional stability because in a different way than it happens in a lot of cities in the world or in Colombia, in Medellin, the mayors that arrive to power build on what the other mayors have built. So they don't come up and start a new thing, but they continue the conversation. So based on that, we decided several years ago that it was time to pass from a traditional economy towards a knowledge-based, data-driven economy. And we decided to do that basically strengthening the institutions we already had and the companies we already had. That's why we created Ruta, the public agency for innovation that I worked at. That's our building. It's a global, it's a gold LEED standard building. It's really, really beautiful. And that's where we attract a lot of companies. Right now we have more than 350 companies from 31 countries that are generating more than 10,500 jobs. This building is located in the northern part of the city, which I just told you is like one of the most, is the poorest part of the city. So it also brings development to that part of the city. This transformation has given us the award in 2013 as the most innovative city, and it has also given us the recognition from Fast Company as one of the Latin America's top 10 most innovative companies. And in that list, we were the only public company. Also, To Think Now recognizes us as the World Innovation Hub. And we also have some national recognitions as the best royalty in innovation executors. So it's been 11 years since our creation, and we've achieved very good results. And that's due to collaboration, always, among different actors and among different municipalities, because it's impossible to understand Medellin as one city isolated from the others. You cannot understand, like if you come to Medellin, you're gonna see that you pass from one city to the next one and you wouldn't even realize it. Medellin, it's 10 municipalities that have the same economic development story. And you can see that also by taking a look at the collaboration among the different stakeholders. Medellin, it's kind of similar to what Brian told us. We have something that is called Comité Universidad Empresa Estado, which is the university, state, and private sector committee. It meets once a month in Ruta N, and it talks about how to develop Medellin from a science, technology, and innovation perspective, and in joint projects. So it's the main universities, main research group, the government and its different agencies, even sometimes the national government comes to these meetings, the private sector and the civil society, all talking together, how are we going to move forward in terms of economic development to have a better quality of life for our citizens. Because we really want to build Medellin as a smart city. So right now, and using a human-centered approach, that's really important for us. It's never been a talk about economic development. It's always been a talk about how are we going to improve people's lives and how are we going to overcome this inequality and these challenges that I told you about at the beginning of the presentation. So right now we're focusing on how are we going to use technology to improve these lives. And that's our mission right now. By having all this collaboration I've talked to you about, we have, for example, these are some of the projects that we've been working on for the past 11 years. We have more than 5,000 companies that signed what we call Gran Pacto por la Innovación, which is an agreement these companies made to make a self-assessment on innovation. And then they have to achieve an action plan to work towards towards better level of innovation and digital transformation. So they are all committed to innovation. We have a fund right now. 1 minute, okay, I'll be super fast. We have innovation funds with more than $300 million for innovation. And this is really important because it shows the collaboration. So right now we have a ratio. 1 public peso that comes to Ruta N is matched with the private sector, and it achieves 20 pesos from the private sector. So it shows like how committed the private sector is with the development of the city. We have a talent strategy because we understood talent was key to have an innovation ecosystem. And this involves having a match between the demand of the private sector, the offer of the education system, and what finding the young people that want to study and need to work. So we do that match and have like a talent broker. this is a platform that has collaboration online to match the offer and the demand of the big companies with the research groups and startups of the city to solve their challenges through innovation. And all this to tell you that, as Brian told us about Phoenix, we also have our the city KPIs. In this case specifically, we have science, technology, and innovation activities over the GDP per capita. So in Medellin, we are right now located at 2.27% of our GDP is invested in this kind of activities. And our goal at 2031 is to have 9% of that GDP invested in science, technology, and innovation activities. Thank God we have right now a mayorship that is working really, really committed towards that by the strategy that we call the Software Valley, which I think we're going to talk about later in the questions. So thank you very much. That was it, Paola. I think I made it on time.
Yes, you made it on time, and I'm always I admire moms so much because I couldn't, how you concentrate, and it's amazing. Thank you so much, Luz Maria. So yeah, we're gonna jump into more details about the Software Valley because what Luz Maria just said, very often, okay, we're making sure that strategies continue. But very often that doesn't happen, right? Especially when we talk about the public sector. I mean, in Colombia, every 4 years, the mayor changes. I think most of the cities have that problem. And then really make sure continuity is sometimes difficult. So I would love to talk a little bit more in detail about that in our question round when we talk about the Smart Valley or the Software Valley, So thank you, Luz Maria. And also I would like to, Brian and Victor and Luzma, if you have questions as well, because I'm seeing a lot of parallels, right? So Brian, if you have questions for Luz Maria, I'm super happy that it actually becomes a roundtable and not just me asking you questions. So that's also fruitful for you as participants. Now we're gonna switch to Victor. Victor, now it's your turn, the university perspective in a way,
Okay, I'm going to share my screen.
Yeah, thanks.
Can you see the presentation?
I'm still seeing the one from Luz Maria. Maybe I don't know, Luzma, if you can stop sharing your screen, maybe it helps for Victor.
Yes, hold on, stop sharing. There you go.
Okay, now.
Sorry.
Yeah, okay, perfect.
Okay. So thank you for this invitation, and as Brian and Luz Maria, I am very happy to share with you the experience. We started with the Smart City of Guadalajara more than a decade. In 2008, I was in a project with IBM where they were focusing on the smart planet. And then in 2010, we were developing a project for traffic, and we were dealing with the smart cities area of IBM. So Guadalajara has a lot of history on the technology, but what you can see is basically that we are in Mexico, near the Pacific, and we call us the Silicon Valley of Mexico because we have 120,000 people working on high technology companies. And these companies, big companies like IBM with 2,000 employees, Hewlett-Packard, Intel, Oracle, and others that are in place, with other 600 companies that are doing complex manufacturing. For example, many of the servers for Amazon are built in Guadalajara and then just moved to the centers. So that makes very specific configurations for that. And then the technology was moved to all the other areas like design, like clothes, and how you put technology on that clothes for the fashion, and other areas like furniture and other things that we were moving. So we are looking a lot in the past 7 years for social innovation, how to transform. Guadalajara is a 4.6 million inhabitants, but like Luz Maria told before, in the 70s or the 60s, we were less than 1 million people. So we grew very fast, and we didn't have a lot of planning in how we wanted to grow. So now we were 10 years working on how we can we have this industry, the academia, 200,000 students at the university level, already the University of Guadalajara holds close to 160,000 and 300,000 students at the high school level. So it's a big pool of students with a lot of force for innovation. The government that just as with Phoenix, we have a lot of municipalities that we need to deal, and also with Medellin. And also we have actors from the industry very active, like for example, the Chamber of Commerce, Cecilia Martinez, who is working in the international side. She contacted me to meet you at this conference. And it's in every chamber, they know each other's and they try to look how we can push initiatives to improve the city. So we have the Mind, which is a place where all the chambers of the different sectors are just connected, and they used to work together to see how they can improve how they are doing and dealing. But the technology is a big driver behind all of that. So usually the smart cities, everybody says the definition, but it's how you connect the real world with the digital world and how you can bring optimal solutions. This is very academic and formal, but in fact, in 2012, we earned a big project from the federal government to develop a digital creative city. Guadalajara, among other 17 cities, was selected because it was the only one that was suggesting to transform the downtown of the city into a new city, a smart city, just that we can be testing. And this project was developed with MIT and Accenture, and also Fundación Metrópoli for the social development. So we took innovation, economy, and social development, and we created this master plan. The challenge, as already was told, is the continuity with the administrations of the government. So just we are the project. I put a sabbatical year as the CEO of this project with this very innovative master plan. But then we changed the president, we changed the party, we changed the governor, we changed the parties, we changed the municipalities and the parties and everything. So the project has become very, very slow. And being at the university, also, we got this call from the IEEE to get the first Smart Cities initiative. So we were the first city to create a core city. That the goal was not to become, or because we were already a smart city, is because we wanted and we have all the possibilities to become a smart city. And we were ready to share that experience with other cities in the world. So after Guadalajara, Trento, who is a 200,000 people city, was selected. Wuxi was selected on the next year, who is a 7 million people city. And then Kansas City, that goes again to 2 million or something like that. And then Casablanca. So based on that, Guadalajara, this is how it looks today. We have different areas. And just because in 2013, the project started for the smart city, but it was very slow. Now what we can see is that we have many places where we have different examples of how the smart city can evolve. Very measurable. Some are private places. Others are like with the University of Guadalajara. We have like 250 hectares on what we call the city of knowledge. And we are integrating a lot of things to test and to validate the smart cities. But the commitment that we had at the university was, we don't want to wait for a master plan that takes like 20 years to become a real city. So we need to train our students for the future, which is today the smart cities, how they can deal. So we started creating living labs that we tried to expand everything. And the lemma was, let's make things to happen. That was our commitment with the students. And this is just very technical, but all the topics that we covered, and we assembled all the chain. So inside of the university, we have a unit, but we connect with all the areas of knowledge in the university and researchers just to make it happen. And this is a sample, like in all the cities, all the projects that we were tackling with the government and with industry, with other universities of things that were happening in Guadalajara. Some of them were happening very good, others were with full of lessons learned, but there is a lot of things that were inside. And this is how we work. Usually the government plays an innovation fund, and this is Dr. Francisco Medina, who is the director of this area of the government that creates this. And if you want to get more information, you can contact him, and we can give you the contact. But in fact, you can see that we have in blue different organizations that benefit. Then in purple, you have public or private instances. companies, and then consultancy people that connects. And then you see in orange the different sectors that we're covering for the innovation and the amount of projects that were just in 1 year. This is 2020, but in fact, this is something that was running and was just getting the perfection through the last 15 years, so more than a decade, that we have this exercise, and we know each other, industry, academia, government. We create consortia, and we look how to promote. As Luz Maria says, we have also, with these fundings, a matching fund that we put from the academia, another from the industry, and another from different investors and stakeholders that they want to put for the different projects. And this is how we mix and put the balance to get all the funding in what we call innovation funds. So there is a strategy, and today is official that in the sustainability and circular economy, the government supports any initiative that goes for the smart cities. But of course, we have more other things to cover. So since we have this, our origin with the information technology and with the high technology companies, this is what we're supporting. And we support a lot consortia of 5 institutions, companies, universities, even other government institutions that put the funds, and then we work together in projects. This is one example. We proposed it from the university when everybody was looking for the COVID-19, how to trace the sick people. We preferred to see how do we could create jobs for all the people that were losing all the jobs. How do we can create some incentive for the people to behave good? So we created a social coin. And how do we can keep healthy lifestyles and a neutral carbon footprint? This is one of the 20 projects that were accepted, between 150 that were just put in 2 months when the call started, when we started with the COVID in March on 2020. So that was an example. But the big message is that we love to work together. And this is very hard, but it's necessary if you want to succeed in the projects. And when you put all these actors, then you can run social innovation with some sustainability and economic sustainability, and you take care also of the environment, and you engage the people. So I always say that the model I was in Medellin with the University of Antioquia, we have a good friends there, and we love it, the model that they take in account what the people think, how they believe, and then that's the base for the project when you start to do something with your people on the city. But this model is not only for Guadalajara, it's in all the state of Jalisco. We use small towns to test and to run pilots, and then we run. So the state of Jalisco is about 8 million people. More than the half is just concentrated in the big metropolitan area of Jalisco. So that's what I presented, and very happy to share with you any question and to interact with you.
Thank you, Victor. Thank you so much, everyone, for those great presentations. We now have, and that's amazing, we have 20 minutes now approximately for conversations. What I most like, I loved also your presentations, but I also like to get deeper and like that we can have a little conversation around it all. And maybe I can start, and I'm super happy to also listen to your questions, if we have questions for each other. My first question, and I prepared some in advance, but one thing, Victor, I would like to ask you first is, very often, or what I have experienced like in smart city work, is that a lot of universities start competing with each other. So if there is a funds available, then a university kind of like pitches for it and wants to like do its own thing, you know, and it's sometimes very difficult to create consent or to create like a collaborative project between different universities. How is that with you? Like, how is it going with your university? How do you foster cooperation and collaboration with others, other academic, or with the academic sector?
Well, already 15 years ago, that's a history. Sony wanted to put a research center in somewhere in the world, and Jalisco and Guadalajara was raising the hand. So one of the best known institutions, a private, the Technological of Monterrey, they said, hey, we are here for you. And they come and they say, but how many engineers you are waiting for this research center? So we have like 10 or 20 per semester. And the company says, no, no way. We need like 300 people so what about the other universities you have on the area? Well, I don't know them because they are my competitors. Well, after that, 15 years ago, we used to sit everybody on the table because the industry and the chambers, like the Chamber of Commerce or the Chamber of Information Technologies, they said, you need to cooperate because if we want to get big projects, we need to set up all the efforts from all the sides. So after that time, we meet everybody, we know everybody, and we see how we can work together. At the end of the day, today we have a crossover among all the institutions because some of the professors were raised in some of the universities on the other side. And some of the students, when they finish the engineering, they go to study the master or the PhD in the other institution. So at the end, we have all that mixes that makes great. And then we got some specialization at the universities. So we know that if there is an expert on very specific topic, this university is the best, and we try to encourage to grow that skill with them.
Thank you, Victor. Yeah, anyone has, Brian or Luzma, do you have a question? If not, I keep questioning you.
Well, yeah, I have a question for Brian, because I'd like to know like a little bit more about how you finance all these collaboration in Phoenix.
Yeah. Yeah, so our consortium is that formalized public-private partnership. We do have a membership model from our communities. So, kind of a small fee from each of our communities based on population size to kind of be a part of the Connective group. We do, we aim to not be exclusive. We want to include everyone. So we do have, a kind of track for observers and, communities that can join the meetings and kind of listen in without paying, but they just don't necessarily get some access to some of the resources, shared resources that we're establishing without kind of being an official member. Additionally, the private industry partners, especially the founding partners, which I highlighted in that one slide, were asked to provide some seed kind of capital for us to actually stand up this formal organization, at least initially. So we did engage in partnerships that way, but are ultimately moving to get away from that to become a state-funded, like both of you guys, or federally funded organization going forward. But we kind of lean heavily on our private industry partners initially, and are now working and set up grant capture teams, and we're almost there to being a fully self-sustaining kind of organization through that membership model from the communities, as well as funding from federal and state levels as well. Great. And then obviously, specific projects can be applied for grants and everything, or have investments from there too. So,
thank you, Brian. Thanks. I have another question because I actually like the quote, Victor, which you said in the beginning. Like you were like, oh, this is so simple, like how to create the real world with the digital world. Like very often that's a challenge, and it sounds so simple, but it's actually, I think, one of the biggest challenges every smart city program has. And that now is a question for Luz Maria. And I know that in Guadalajara, there's like everywhere actually a lot of problems around how do I include the people who like in Colombia right now during the pandemic, there are almost like more than 70% of the population which is working informally. So the question here is, we think about all those, like we saw all those different components, and how do we make smart city programs inclusive? Like Luzma, like how do you, for example, you talked also, and maybe you can talk a little bit about that software valley which you're planning to establish, but what strategies do you have to create a smart but a really inclusive innovation ecosystem?
Well, I think to begin with, the main thing is to involve communities from day one. Like just co-create with as many actors as you can and as many people as you can, even though, we work in a lot of technologies topics. And sometimes people tend to think that is very distant from them, and that doesn't have an impact on their lives. But what we try to do is teach people that it actually has an impact, and that even if we don't understand the whole system and how it works, having, you know, legitimacy over the institutions that work on that, and being able to use the technologies for the purposes that are really going to have an impact on their lives is important. So I think that's the first step, involving them from day one. And right now we have several strategies, because we're very focused right now on implementing things to what we call democratize the access to innovation and entrepreneurship. So we are developing different centers on several of our territories, or I think all of our territories in the city, where people can go and access different tools and methodologies, innovation methodologies, agile innovation methodologies, and they can use different systems and have resources and access funds, and have, you know, like they can ask the team of experts, and, you know, be guided to solving their needs for their business, and to improve their innovation strategies. So yeah, just like involving them in the strategies, and then being close to them in the strategies. And that's what we are calling right now the Software Valley. We're designing these centers all over the city, and designing open government and tech government initiatives, so we can be close to the citizens for their initiatives.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else has a question? Maybe Victor or Brian? If not, do you had a question for someone? No? Okay.
Well, I just can add a comment that we created this Internet of People, which is a way to get, and it's open to all the other cities that want to adopt it, because it's based on IEEE's project and support. And it's a way where we empower the local communities, and we are providing services, and even a kind of a bank service for the people, so they can connect to the digital world and they can get a benefit. And the challenge that we have today is that you are kept in house, because you are in a shutdown of all the city with this COVID, and you cannot notice what is happening outside. And it's very common in the cities that you don't know your neighbor, or maybe in the neighborhood you live, you don't know all the people. Our fathers used to have it, but we, with this kind of life working, we forget that there are other people living close to us. And this technology we are bringing tries to connect you with other people, get more sensible, and see how in the digital world you can interact to make things to happen in the real world. And we put a social coin that makes that you can earn something if you do good things for your community, and especially for your local community. So it's just a matter of balance.
Wow, amazing. That's a great strategy, Victor. I actually was thinking also to ask Brian on how you're focusing, you know what, because again, getting to this quote, creating, like connecting the real world with the digital world, especially right now during the pandemic, with regions or communities which are completely disconnected, or which have probably, you know, like here in Germany, they were like saying that even elderly people had big problems right now, or have problems right now to get a vaccine, because they call, you know, they're used to call, and they don't like download the app and like get the link for it to kind of like be in the system. So they don't have access right now and touching. They need help from the children, or they have to ask people, etc. So there are some people who are right now, they're not on the edge. So Brian, how are you dealing with that inclusion, with the inclusion part?
Yeah, I mean, that inclusion and those kind of underserved communities are a huge challenge, right, for all of our cities here. So, you know, that's really kind of, we're building out that model that I described that is really built to be inclusive. And we are, you know, one of our priorities, which I'm sure is similar across cities across the globe, is kind of that digital equity digital divide, challenge. So we've been working with some partners at ASU and our local Internet 2 provider called Sun Corridor Network and so on, to really start to establish what we're calling this digital equity organization, which would be kind of another project underneath the Connective umbrella there, to create that persistent and permanent kind of model for reaching out and engaging these underserved communities, and then doing a deep dive kind of current state assessment, asset mapping, and layering all that different data on top of each other to really identify those communities of need, and then utilizing our private partners and academic research partners to create those kind of networks of the future, right? And communication platforms of the future, to be able to bring those underserved or unserved communities all together, with an idea towards access for all. So we're currently in the process of doing that. And I wish we had done it before. Obviously, with the COVID epidemic has really, highlighted the need for all of that. But we're really trying to be diligent about the CARES Act money that's being distributed across the United States here right now, and utilizing that to create sustainable, permanent, persistent, and replicable kind of models that continue to adapt and bring those people in through software-defined networking, CBRS, programmatic stuff, etc.
Great. Thank you, Brian. So yeah, we have the last 3 minutes. We were together now for 1 hour, talking about how to create inclusive innovation ecosystems. We heard the perspective from all different sectors, from the academy, NGO, and public. I'm really, really grateful for having, for having the chance to talk with all of you. And I'm seeing Deborah actually here, who's probably going to give...
Yes, I am.
I'm happy to see you again, Deborah.
It's a great session. I try to kind of not be everywhere, physically it's done much easier than digitally. You're just like there, right? So I've been listening the whole time. I think it was a really, really awesome to listen to. Of course, it's already a bit late here in Europe, but I felt a bolt of energy again. Brian, I must say I'm very jealous of that sunshine that's kind of pierced through your lines there. I'm looking forward to summer myself again as well. So, it was a great session. I really enjoyed it. We are kind of slowly moving to the next session. It's actually, and also for you guys, I think we have a number of SMEs, also Latin-speaking SMEs, also from the Americas, kind of demonstrating or talking about some of the cool stuff they're doing. And then after that, and that might be of particular interest, there is, we've scheduled a DJ set by a Belgian electronic music DJ. You might know that Belgium is one of, which is, our home base, is one of kind of the front runners back in the day in electronic music. So in a way, it's the instrument of the digital age, right? So, but he's known quite well for kind of the hard techno music, but of course he'll play some funky beats because of the time zone. So for you guys, it might be some nice background music to work to. For our Asian friends, it might be something nice to wake up to, and for us, it might be the thing to kind of slowly go to bed with here in Europe. It's been great. Thank you, guys. So we are now scheduling some SMEs that will be presenting. Who is it exactly? It's UBWare, Pretech, Monad, and LunarWorks. I just want to point out LunarWorks logo didn't make it onto the opening session slide because it just, there was some last-minute logistic issues. I just wanted to emphasize that indeed they're also one of the SMEs here at CSCC. Sorry, at CXC. And the morning for Europe, so that will be kicked off by a session, or basically we will kind of awaken in the Asia Pacific region. So we'll have a whole host of sessions. The first session is with the Philippines, Korea, and a number of really interesting projects being talked to. So thank you everybody for making time to come here. There's so much I want to talk to you about. I'm really keen to follow up with a lot of you, kind of to work on some things in the next year. There's so much we can discuss. We'll make sure to do that. Thanks again, great session. We look forward also to kind of maybe seeing you in the reception also after the closing session, which should be more or less around the same time as today, but then tomorrow, to just kind of chat, interact. We don't kind of monitor that, or it's just somewhere where we can all come together all globally and see what we can talk about. So thanks again, it was great. And for now, we'll move on to the next part of the session, and then straight after that, the DJ set, and then a bit of a break for a few hours, and then we start back up with Asia. So thanks everybody.
Thanks everyone. Thank you everyone. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
Ciao.